Going on? Thirsty Thursday, Pentax Talk every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, Thirsty Thursday, I usually have a beer. Grab whatever you want, soda, whatever. Today I've got Veltins, a German Pilsner. We're going to try that out. You can't, used to be that you could find import beers in the grocery store, but it's kind of been like they moved to all these microbrews and whatnot, so you can't find. You have to go to like to a specialty store to find some decent imports. So I've tried this before and it's pretty decent. So all right, how's everybody doing? As you know, it is always slow with Pentax, but we can talk about whatever you want. So just chat below if you have a question for me. If not, I'm gonna go through a few things that I've written down here in my notes. Let me grab my K3 Mark III real quick. All right. So I've been shooting with this every day, and this is pretty much locked to my camera, this 16 to 50. I know I hadn't released the video yet with the image samples. I will do that soon. But I did get a sip here. It's gone down a little bit. All right. But I did, I cleared off my card, which I hadn't done on the K3 Mark III since I've got it. And I'm just scrolling through the images, deleting the ones that I didn't care for. But I was just amazed on the image quality coming from this K3 Mark III. It is just outstanding. I'm sure if you own this now, you probably came across the same thing. I even used like some subpar lenses, and the image quality still came out excellent. It's just a stellar camera, and I'm very happy I bought it. I was kind of thinking, I don't know, but I'm very happy I got it. But the 16 to 50 has been locked on there. I've been shooting a lot of. I've been using it for everything. I used to use my Olympus. Well, I won't get it. My Olympus for some of my product shots for eBay and whatnot. So I just decided to take this through the full test of just doing everyday stuff that I'd use JPEGs for that are like the medium size, just for uploading to eBay, and it did outstanding as well. Especially the autofocus on this thing, the 20 to 40 would sometimes struggle, even though I was just doing product shots. There wasn't much light, and it would kind of sometimes struggle to search a little bit to get focus, but not with the 16 to 50. It's dead on. It's really good. So yeah, I'll be uploading those images sometime soon, hopefully. Let's see here what else we got. Like I said, Pentax news is kind of slow, but I did check Pentax rumors, and there was a story on there that I didn't read, but it was the sales numbers of Rico Pentax, and it showed very promising. Obviously in 2020 they didn't make or put much out there as far as for people to buy, but in 2021 they've got the K3 and then that new 16 to 50. So their sales have been up, which is great. I'll read the numbers here. Operating profits for the first quarter of 2020 were minus 21.2. This is yens, billions of yens, so whatever that equivalates to. And then so minus 21.2 in 2020 first quarter, and 2021 first quarter they were plus 5.6 billion yens. So that just tells you there, when you release new products and get them out there to the consumer, they're willing to buy, and they need to keep on doing that. Hopefully they'll release that the 21 limited lens soon for the full frame. Let me pop this out so I could just see. Forgot to enable the chat so I can see here. All right, I think I got it enabled. All right, we've got a few people watching. How's everybody doing? Let's see what else we're going to talk about. If you have any questions about the K3 or the 16 to 50, leave comment or leave a message in the chat, and I'll make sure to answer any questions about that. And upcoming, I bought this new device, so these lives might be a little bit better. I bought this little capture device, so I'm going to try to do some live streaming off some of my Pentax products. Something like this used to be like, gosh, over $100, but China, $13, and it's a capture device. You've got a HDMI, so it's set up to do live streams and whatnot. So I won't have to do it through my laptop anymore, and I'll get to try out some of these cameras for DSLRs for live streaming and see how much better the video will be. And plus, I don't have to do it on laptop. I could do it on my personal computer. So that will be really cool. Hopefully, I'll be able to mess around with that this coming week, and next week we'll have some live streaming with the K1 Mark II or the K3 Mark III. We'll find out. Let's see here. Pentax forums. How many of y'all are on Pentax forums? I was curious about this because I'm on there rarely, but they have the for sale on there, and I click through there occasionally and check it out, see if there's any awesome stuff to buy. And I hadn't really come across anything really good. If you have purchased from Pentax forums off that site or sold on there, let me know your experiences, because I'm thinking about getting on there and maybe selling some stuff and maybe buying some stuff as well. So what else we got? This one might be like a 30-minute instead of a long one. So adapters. I've seen people asking about adapters for Pentax cameras. I've got a couple of adapters that I'm going to show. DSLRs are not the best for adapting lenses to. Mirrorless are great with that, but DSLRs not so much. So we got, I'm gonna grab these. I've got two adapters here. Probably everybody knows the M42 mount to K mount. That's way over there somewhere. I've got it. But this one is an interesting adapter. This is an MD mount to K mount, and I could actually grab. In case you don't know, MD is Minolta. Cheers. So let me grab this here. So we'll go ahead and put one of these on the K3 Mark III, so just so you could check it out. There. Go ahead and mount it on the lens. This is a MD. This is a what is this? It's a 5-star lens. 5-star. That means it's great, right? Let's see. Line up the dots. Turn it. Put it on the camera. There you go. There's an MD mounted to a Pentax camera. Look at that. So with this one, if you notice, it sticks out from there. And they actually said, I bought this off of eBay. It was under $10. But they did say in there that since it's stepping off the sensor, and there's no glass in there, it's straight through, just kind of like a extension tube or whatever. Your focus is only going to be close. You're not going to be able to focus to infinity. So let me take a shot of my keyboard here if I can. Hold on a second. And I'll just show you what an image looks like. Good gosh. Oh, it helps if I'm not at f/22, right? All right, let's see here. see that, but yeah, it just does stuff. I hadn't really used this that much. I just bought it just for the heck of it in case I got a macro lens that was MD mount, so I can put it on here and try it out. Another adapter that I have not tried, but I bought a while ago. I said that one was under $10. This one, I think this one was like 30, close to 30, but I hadn't found any of these lenses at a decent price I want to spend on them yet. But this is the 645 that came out. So I'd probably be using, I'm going to put it on the K3 here, but I would be using it on the K1 instead. But I mean, you could see, I don't know if you can see that, how much wider it is than the K mounts. Those 645 lenses are just a lot bigger. So I'm still waiting to, I don't search for those lenses all that often, but I think the cheapest one's around $100. But if you're on there looking a lot at eBay or other sites, you should be able to find one cheaper that if it comes up to auction or whatnot. So I've got this, and whenever I get a 645 lens, I've sold some before, but hadn't tried to adapt them. I will definitely be doing some sort of video on that, or maybe on one of these Pentax lives. I'll kind of show you. But like I said, adapters on DSLRs do not work very well. The Canons, a lot of people try to adapt those. I used to adapt those and sell those. And like 50 millimeter with the M4.2, I mean, they're fine on Pentax, which is great, but M4.2 on Canon, you can't go wider than 50 millimeters. If you could put a 28 on there, you won't get infinity focus. I've tried tons and tons of that. So it sits off it has a little plate like with the Pentax, you know, the adapter ring fits right inside the mount. With the Canon EF, it sits just slightly off there and moves the lens away from the sensor. So it doesn't work really well with their lenses at all, but everybody tries to adapt them. I mean, you know, I've got those adapters, but I don't see why people try to adapt stuff to Pentax because they have so many lenses out there. I mean, you go back to the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, and they just released so many lenses since the K1000 was, you know, the most popular camera. It was a cheaper camera, but it did everything right, and it was rugged, and it stood the test of time. That's why they produced it for 20 some odd years. It's kind of weird how you know, with the DSLRs, they don't do like the film cameras, you know, produce them for a long amount of time like they did with the K1000. It'd be nice to see them just I might have said that before, but like have just make like a Pentax, make like a 18 megapixel, 16, just let's do the 16 megapixel, have that 16 megapixel camera like a K50 or something like that, but just strip it down to bare bones where it's just basically a manual camera, and just put bottom line price on it and just sell a ton of them. I think it would sell. I don't know. I mean, if you put a $200 price tag on that, and you know, have it available in several different stores. They're not, you know, Pentax isn't available in basically camera stores and online. That's about it. At least in the U.S. Is there a department store overseas where they actually have Pentax in stock that's not a camera store? Be curious to know that, because not in the U.S. you won't find them. As a matter of fact, it's hard to find a Pentaxian in the U.S. I always joke and say that Pentaxians have to stay like 500 miles apart because I never run into any of them. You know, been to several parks and never seen anybody with a Pentax camera. Well, no, I'll take that back. I did see a I was in Colorado at the national park there, Rocky Mountain National Park. there was a girl with her family, a teenager, and she had a Pentax ME, and I was like, oh man, that's cool. That's the first time I've seen, and I mean that's a film camera, but I was happy to see somebody actually had a Pentax camera. So, all right, any questions? I haven't seen anybody. Can somebody just say something or chat something here so I make sure I have this chat going on? Not too many people are on here today, but that's fine. I'll sit here and blabber on. Doesn't bother me. Let's see. I'm from Norway. Lars, what's going on, man? I am drinking actually German beer though. There's I went to Epcot, Disney Epcot, and they have a Norway there, and the one of the guys, foreign change students or whatever, was he said, you have to try this Norway beer, it's the best or whatever. And I tried it, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was really good. I was happy that he recommended it to me. All right, let's see what else. So how many do you see, Lars, do you see very many other Pentax users in Norway, or are you just one of the few? Let's see here. All right, my other question is, what lens do you think Pentax is missing? I've covered this before. I think they're missing that long telephoto prime lens, like a 400 millimeter f5.6. That is the only lens that I miss from Canon, their L series, and it's right at $1,000, and it's didn't have image stabilization. It was just a very sharp lens because it's a prime lens. Prime lenses are, I would say always, but not always, but they're sharper than zoom lenses, and they typically have a wider aperture, so you can do a little bit better in low light with them. I think that's my main lens that I think that Pentax is missing from their system, a long prime like that. But as I say that, I remember they do have an old school 400 millimeter FA star lens, and I always forget to check that out and see if I could buy it. It's on my list of ones to buy, but they do need to release that. Obviously, they first need to release this 21 millimeter that everybody's talking about for full frame. So that's the one I think they're missing the most. But all I do is my main photography is nature photography, and I think that's a lot with a lot of the Pentaxians. I'm not sure. I would like to see the breakdown of just the different photographers as far as Pentaxian KY. Hello, Kentucky. All right, so Jamie, hey, what's going on? So say I like to see the breakdown of Pentaxians. What type of photography they do? If they do street, do they do wedding, strictly landscapes, or I call myself a nature photographer instead of a wildlife photographer. So when I say nature photographer, I think that encompasses wildlife and nature. I'm not really a bird photographer, but if it presents itself, I'll definitely try to shoot that. So let's see here. How do you think the Super Takimar 105 f2.8 is it worth buying? I had one of those years ago, and it's been so long since I used it. And I think it was actually before the actual original K1 came out. So it's been a long time since I've had that. But the 100 millimeter f4 macro is a great lens. Came out. It's definitely, I would recommend that. How is the Pentax Dash A 200 millimeter 2.8 star lens manual focus? Looking for one for portraiture. I haven't tried that lens either. You know what? The one that everybody is looking at is I believe it's the 200 millimeter. I think it's the most desired lens from Pentax. It's a 200 millimeter macro lens. I hadn't looked at that in a while, but it's well over $1,000. I think if you find it, it's like $2,500. But check that out. Research that, and it just I'm sure it's on Pentax forums and the reviews. You can check out that and just 200 millimeter macro. Yeah, I need to look at that again. That reminds me. Um, yeah, Pentax prices have risen a lot lately in my country. I can't afford anything new anymore. Yeah, it's they've risen across the board, and that used to be one of my favorite things about Pentax because you have the Canon and Nikons that would release their cameras. Uh, that would be $1,600. Their full frame stuff was $3,500 US. Um, but then Pentax would come along and release, hey, we've got this K30, K50, K70, or whatever at $600. And you looked at it, and it had more features uh, and the dynamic range was better if you looked at all the sites for the tech specs or when they did the actual test on it. But um, yeah, the prices have risen. Yeah. So KP is where they started that, I think. Yeah. The prices, KP started it, and then the K3 Mark III, and it makes me curious when they come out with the whatever K90 or whatever, what is going to be the price of that? Are you going to keep that high as well, or KS3, whatever it's going to be? What is going to be the price of that? They need to work on getting that price down again. Like I was saying earlier, if they release a camera that's kind of has a great sensor in it that's maybe 16 megapixels, but it's got a bunch of this stuff stripped down, they can manufacture it at a decent price, um, and keep making it at like a $200 price tag. I mean, that would be incredible. I think a lot of people would buy that, and I think a lot of photography classes and schools and whatnot would recommend that to someone that was on a budget looking for a camera, especially with the Pentax. You could all those old lenses going back several years. They work on the Pentax system. The came out stuff works on the Pentax system better than any other camera, Nikon or is that it? There's another one. Any of those other cameras that actually have older lenses that still mount on their camera. And it's even better with this K3 Mark III. I've mentioned this before, but if you don't have this camera, so if you switch, I like shooting like with the Pentax Dash M. You couldn't really shoot in the previous cameras in AV mode, which I like to shoot in. I'd have to shoot in full manual, which is fine. It wasn't that big a deal, but I just prefer to shoot in AV mode. With this Pentax K3 Mark III, you could shoot in that AV mode, and it actually accepts it. So, like with the previous models, you would move the aperture, on the lens of the Pentax Dash M lenses, and the aperture actually wouldn't move. So uh, that's you'd have to switch into manual mode to get the aperture to move. It would, or if you were in AV mode, it would always shoot wide open. Um, so that was kind of an issue for me. But with this, I took this out, matter of fact, today, and I shot with some manual lenses and had a lot of fun with it. And I just forgot how awesome that feature is to have with this camera. All right, let's see what else we got. Pentaxi in Washington State. How's it going, John? Hey, didn't I just sell you some stuff on eBay, or did I? I sold some Fuji stuff to somebody in Washington State. Anyway, hi from Scotland. Shooting mainly nature and architecture just now. Yeah, I would love to do that. I'm I'd say jobless right now, but I'm kind of self-employed. But I'd like to get into some architecture slash real estate photography. I need to watch some videos on that. I just don't know how to get started in that because real estate is really booming. What's going on? Belgium's on here. How many different countries we got going on now? um, but yeah, I'd like to get into real estate photography. I just don't know where to start. I've got a wide angle lens, the 10 to 20. Um, since I'm self-employed, I eventually here in a couple months, I'm going to need some second income, not just my self-employedness. So I thought about doing that, just doing like real estate jobs, and I don't know what it pays. If it pays like 100, $200 just to go out to a house and take some shots. So I'm going to research that a little bit more. And if I actually do it, I talked to a friend the other day about it. That's actual realtor, and he was going to check into it and let me know. Yeah, John. Okay, cool. Yeah, ship that out today, so you should be receiving that soon. It's a pretty cool camera system. I have the SX2 as well. I don't know if you saw that, um, but the SX1 is a cooler looking camera to me. I like the silver better. I'm not really sure the differences in the two. If you haven't had that Fuji um, before, right there on the shutter button, I've turned it off, but you got to flip the switch to turn it on. So if the shutter doesn't click, just flip that switch over and it will click. Um, Questions coming from K5 to a K30. How would you recommend going full frame or K3? And somebody else asked that, Lars. I can't remember who asked that the other day. I mean, they're two different cameras altogether. I'll pull them up. I'm gonna grab it. I mean, full frame and and the K and crop sensor cameras are just totally two different beasts. I mean, you could go online. There's several videos about them. Just you'll get the more shallow depth of field if you like that in your photography with the full frame, and then also still this K1 outdoes the K3 Mark III as far as low light performance. So yeah, they're just totally two different cameras. This weighs a lot more. This weighs a little bit less, but there's something about the K3. It has that little bit of magic to it. Whenever anybody releases the newest crop sensor camera, there's everybody will say, "Oh, it's just as good as full frame." It's not quite, but it gets closer and closer every time. So, two different cameras is just what you like. This one obviously has more megapixels, and so yeah, I recommend them both though. So it's just, I guess it's just, I don't know, just what you want what you're shooting. If you're shooting mostly landscapes, go with the K1 is what I would say. Does Pentax or third party make a tilt shift lens? I have not seen one. There might have been. What's that? There was a company called, what's that, Lens Baby, about 5-10 years ago that came out with different effect type lenses, and they had a tilt shift in theirs. They might have made a K mount. I have to Google that and see. But check out that Lens Baby and see if they have a K mount. That might be something for you, Brian, that you might want to look into. I was seeing used 38 millimeter shift lens on eBay. Okay. Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Yeah, looking through their K mount accessories book. I mean, it's an old school one, but it's not a recent one. But their old film lenses, they do have a tilt shift in it now that I think about it, but I've never seen it come up for sale. It's probably extremely rare. Shooting a mix, it's like thundering out here. So this might, if this cuts off, electricity goes off at my house quite a bit. So shooting, Jamie, shooting a mix of sports, nature, and architecture. Cool. Let's see, Pentax LX for 35 millimeter photography, and then the Sony Alpha A7 III DSLR images. Ooh, did you hear that? All look the same from Canada. Cool. You're holding thousands of dollars of gear, yet this video quality is awful. Yes, it is. And I'm sorry about that. This is my third video on this, so I'm just doing it off my laptop, and it will be better. I promise you. I've got a little, covered it earlier. I bought a little capture device, so I'll be trying to stream with the DSLR. I've just got to look into it a little bit more. Have the original K3 with a Sigma 10 to 20. Which 10 to 20 is that? I have the, hold on a second. I have the F4 to F5.6 Sigma, and everybody says the F3.5 is a ton better, but I hadn't had issues with this, and I like this, and I mostly shoot this at F5.6 to F8 because I'm doing landscapes or something like that. I'll finish your question here. The Pentax race, Pentax 17 to 70, and Pentax 60 to 250. How is that Sigma, or that Pentax 60 to 250? That is one lens I have not tried. How significant of an upgrade will this be for my landscape? I don't do video or need high megapixel options. I guess you're asking, would the K3 Mark III be a huge upgrade to the K3? Absolutely, 100%. If you've got the money, buy it. Anyone selling a 15 millimeter Pentax lens? I just sold one like 2 weeks ago. You're a little bit late. Yes, you hear the thunder. You hear the thunder and the lightning. Yeah. I'm curious about this one though. You know, I almost want to buy that 11 to 18 or whatever, but I don't have any problems with this. So why would I upgrade? You know, and then that one's like well over $1,000. So if you buy the K3 Mark III and put this on there, and or your F3.5 with that lens selection you have there, I feel you'll be very, very happy. All right, I'm gonna cut this short. Any last questions or anything? Sam Yang, they have a tilt shift lens. Okay, 24 f3.5. So I'm guessing the people that are asking about this tilt shift lens, they're using it for architecture, or are you gonna just do some like more creative stuff? I used to have a little point and shoot by Canon, and it did like this kind of time lapse photo. It was really cool for a point and shoot, but it would do video, and it would put it in like a tilt shift mode, so it would be blurred on the top, the bottom. It looked really cool. I think I have a video like from 12 years ago on YouTube with it. It looked pretty cool. It was down in SeaWorld down in Florida. It was pretty cool. It was in this hotel that was like a high rise. Yeah, Lars, that's what I've got right here. I've got the 16 to 50. I'm gonna have some image samples coming up. I just hadn't done it yet, but I'm loving it so far. It's a great lens. Okay. What's a good Pentax lens to do video with? What is it, 10 to 17, the fisheye? I mean, it kind of depends what type. If you're doing blogging like this, I mean, I'm just using my laptop. But if you're doing that, you still need something wide. So this